All right, let's talk about supplies. This is just a regular sketchbook. I think it's like 14 by 17. It's a weird size. So I already marked off the watercolor paper I'm going to use is 11 by 14. So I just drew that so I would know the area that I want to stick within. And then I have just a regular kind of eraser. And then I have like a stick eraser and then a mono eraser for any little areas that I might want to use. And then I have an HB and a B pencil. I don't know which one I'll use. And then I'm going to draw on here first because I want to be able to transfer it to my watercolor paper and have that nice and crisp and clean. So in this video, we're going to just draw the little crazy grumpy kitty. And then I'm going to have the watercolor tutorial in real time on my Patreon. So I will have that linked in the description box so you can check that out if you would like to. So we're going to get started right now. This reference will also be available on my Patreon if you're interested in that. All right. So we're going to make this just super duper simple. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. We're going to kind of start, well, let me zoom back out. Got to make sure you can see the whole paper, I think. All right, we're going to start. I like to kind of mark things out. So if I want the top of the hat to kind of be up here, and then you can kind of look how much space is in between. I'm going to start the head maybe right here. And I'm not looking to make it exactly the same. You want to kind of make things your own. So, but it's kind of a football shaped head. I'm just kind of lightly kind of putting that in, holding my pencil super light. And then we can go in and just put kind of the shape of the body. And this is like where his little stomach area would be. And then we can kind of put in where his legs would be. Again, this is just super light, and then I'll darken it in more so you can really see what I'm doing. I'm just I like to just loosely sketch it so I can make sure the placement for everything is where I want it to be. And then the feet, they're kind of at like a little bit of an angle. And again, this is just a super, super quick sketch just to make sure all of the elements are going to fit kind of where I want them to. And then we can kind of pop the hat on. This is kind of the little part right here. And then we can put the ears in. This one's kind of foreshortened a little bit, or I don't know if that's the right word, but it's cut off a little bit because it's a little bit more in the distance. And then we can start to build up his hat. And you can change the shape of the hat or whatever you want to do. There we go. So I'm going to zoom in so we can draw in the face. Hopefully the lighting's not too bad. I'm filming this at night, so hopefully you can see what I'm doing. So So now I'm going to kind of shore up the face a little bit. And we'll add whiskers and all that kind of stuff later when we're actually painting it. So I need to give a little, I need to do a little bit more of an angle here. And then the whiskers would kind of come out like that, just so I can kind of get an idea of how far out they'll go. And then his face, I'm going to erase some of these extra lines so I can kind of see where I'm at. Could get a little crazy. So he's kind of grumpy. I just think it's hilarious. So his eyes are kind of at a little bit of an angle, and he's got these eyebrows. So you can kind of sketch in, like the angle is a little, it's not exactly straight across, it's kind of tilted a little bit. So you can kind of put that in just as a guide. And then he has this kind of line here, so you can kind of put that in first, just to, again, kind of give you a little bit of a guide there. And then it's going to go all the way up and meet the hat. It's actually over a little bit. And then we'll have this little part here, which is just a half circle. And then he'll have a little bit of a pupil. Just showing a tiny bit right there. And then we can put the other eye in. And that's a little eyebrow here. And it goes a little bit at an angle as well. And it has a little whoop, little swoop-a-doop. Make that come down a little bit. And then his eye kind of starts right over here. And you see a little bit more of that one. Like so. And then we can pop his little nose in. There's also kind of like a little crease right here. And then his nose drops down a little bit right there. It's almost like a little bit of a T. You can just kind of sketch it in. Like that. And then he obviously has a frowny face. He is grumpy. And I'm gonna kind of pull these in a little bit because this is actually where the whiskers would be hanging out. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and bring this in. There we go. And then we'll go on to his body. And his arms will kind of flare out. You can see the distance. You can kind of judge between these two areas, and then where his hands meet, you can do a visual of where they would meet if you want to try to make them, you know, close to the reference. Again, I'm not all that worried about that part. And the hands kind of meet right here. And this is his body. And he's holding, like, I don't know, some little ornament or something. This looks like some circles, so you can just kind of draw in like little cranberries or something. Have some of the circles cut off. Different sizes. Like that. I'm always, you know, going back to the reference, making adjustments as I need to. Alrighty, and then we're gonna move down to his body. This kind of has like a little pot belly. So you can kind of imagine a line here, and then it kind of sticks out. And then his legs have where they're fatter up here, and then they kind of get a little bit thinner. And the angle will look kind of weird until you put in his little paws, and then that'll kind of help you see the angle and the direction that he's actually standing. So he has one right here and a little one here, and it's almost like there's like an extra little line here as well. Like that. And then we'll draw the other leg. Basically the same. This one you can kind of see, oops, there's like it sticks up right here, so you can see the toe in a little bit of a different angle. The toe, the paw. I don't know what I don't think it's called a toe on a cat, but there we go. Like I said, I just kind of make some adjustments as I go. That's pretty good. And then his little tail. Starts right about here, and then it kind of goes down the leg a little bit. So kind of start with this top line. And again, you can make it go in any direction you want. It's a little bit fatter down here, and then it gets a little thinner in some of the areas here. Like so. And then we can kind of shore up the hat a little bit. This is kind of at an angle here. And then the hat goes a little bit in front of the ear. And this would be the inside. And you see a little bit more of this ear than this one. I think that should be a little bit more at an angle. So it's kind of being mushed by the hat. And you can look at the negative space as well and make this shape if you want to make it more similar to the drawing. Again, I'm not really trying to mimic that exactly. And then there's a little fuzz ball. And you could get a circle template if you wanted to. Again, it's a fuzz ball, so I'm not worried about it being a perfect circle. And then he does have these kind of little, not eyelids, but something that makes his eyes kind of look like they're 3D, like they're sitting inside of the eye socket or whatever. I like to erase any extra lines so I can really see where I'm at. About like that. I feel like that's a little bit too much of like a rainbow shape. There. That's pretty good, I think. And then we can kind of loosely put in the stripes as well. Again, I'm not really worrying about if it's the exact same amount necessarily. I just kind of want to get the placement the same. He's a candy cane kitty. That's what he looks like. And again, maybe I might not even add all these whenever I transfer it. I might just wait and put them in with the paint. We'll kind of see how it goes first. I think that arm went out a little too far. And then he has his little Buddha belly, and these are kind of like a rainbow, so it makes it give the illusion that it's round. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thought there was one more in there. And this is kind of squared off a little bit more. It's not as round. And then his tail also has some stripes. And these are fairly even with each other. So if you have one over here on this side, then there'd be one just about in the same spot. And I'm always kind of looking and adjusting. And these are a little fatter on the top and then they're skinnier kind of on the bottom. And there we go. It looks so silly right now. So then what I'm gonna do is I'll put ink over this. You can use a magic marker, like a Sharpie, or just a pen or whatever, anything that you want. And then you can erase all the lines that you didn't trace over. And that way you have a nice, crisp, clean image to then transfer to your watercolor paper. I will be using Fabriano hot press, so it's very smooth. This is not my most favorite paper, but I don't know if I have arches in the hot press. If I change it out, I will let you know. This is only 25% cotton, and I prefer 100% cotton, so I may try to see if I can find if I have this size in that paper instead. But I shall let you know in the next portion. So yeah, here's our drawing, and I will be back in video 2, and we will start painting this little grumpy cat in. Okay, so I'll see you very soon.